Hello guys, Seth the Programmer here, and today I'm bringing you an all-new analysis on Gohan in Dragon Ball Super, and explaining why he isn't as weak as people speculate he actually is. After I made my Piccolo video, and the why the human Z-Fighters aren't weak video, I noticed a lot of people were asking about Gohan, who apparently is considered the new Yamcha of Dragon Ball Super these days. Now, Gohan is an absolute beast, always has been, one of the best characters in the series, especially for all the hate he's gotten over the years. I even noticed some kid made like a cringy roast video on him, like, but I'm pretty sure most people are just upset he's not as strong as he once was. However, let me put you at ease, Gohan is still a fucking monster, and it's undeniable. Also, I'd recommend watching my Piccolo video before this one, as Piccolo is important when discussing Gohan's power. I'll put a link in the description, and at the end of the video there will also be another link. Although, like I said, I'd recommend watching it before this one, because it fills in a lot of gaps that would be explained with Piccolo's power. So I guess I should start this video off by explaining when Dragon Ball Super takes place. It actually takes place a few years after the Buu Saga, about 3 to 4 years in fact, as opposed to the 6 months later as originally speculated by V-Jump magazine. This is for a few reasons, but mainly a 30th anniversary special made an official Dragon Ball Super timeline that places Super Saiyan God and the Battle of God arc a few years after Super. I guess it's not far-fetched to say Super could have started a few months later, like when Goku got the 100 million Zeni or whatever. Then by the time Beerus comes around, it's been a few years later. It's all pretty confusing, but in short, Gohan is now a successful scholar slash businessman, and Videl was pregnant by Battle of Gods. So some kind of time skip had to have taken place. So the fact Pan was born a few years after Battle of Gods, or a year after Battle of Gods, and was only a few years old by the end of Dragon Ball Z in the manga, shows that the end of Dragon Ball Z wasn't actually too far away from Battle of Gods. If it were 6 months like the fans were speculating, then Pan would have been around 10 years old by the end of Dragon Ball Z, which is certainly not the case, as Goku is still carrying her around like a toddler. Now, regardless of the time skip, let's move on to the Battle of Gods arc. Interestingly enough, Gohan still actually has his mystic form. As you can tell, he never goes Super Saiyan and just dashes at Beerus in his base form. And despite this, Beerus just slaps them all away. Now, it's very clear Gohan is very rusty by this point, as he hasn't trained for a few years or whatever. However, I just wanted to establish he still had his mystic form. I'd also like to point out that in the original movie version of Battle of Gods, that Gohan clearly still had his mystic form when he fought Beerus, like it's undeniable. And even took on a full-on kick from Beerus and was still conscious, whereas Super Saiyan 3 Goku was out from a flick and a chop. Now skip ahead about a year or so to the revival of Frieza arc. Now this arc is pretty interesting how it deals with the Z-Fighters, as it seems they all get a cool role in being able to whoop some Frieza fodder ass. Hell, even Master Roshi was involved. So the thing to note here is actually the comparison between Gohan and Piccolo, which is how we're going to be scaling how strong Gohan is. Now we know Piccolo is about on par with Shisame, the red soldier of the Frieza Force, whom at this point would have absolutely been dominated by Gohan in his base form. Shisame put Gohan in one of those classic spine-cracking bear hug scenarios that Gohan always finds himself in, no matter what franchise or if it's from a movie, a special, it doesn't matter. Gohan always gets up in a bear hug somehow. But despite Shisame going all out, you know, flexing his muscles on Gohan, Gohan is completely unaffected by Shisame's power. In fact, he even he actually gave Shisame a speech like, I'm fucking done with you guys. Whenever pieces of shit come to my planet, pisses me off. And they start slowly powering up, and he's like, you were warned, right? And then Taguma kills him or whatever. So despite Gohan being unaffected by Shisame's power, in the movie version, he was equal to Piccolo. So that means that Gohan would logically be stronger than Piccolo using this. Now, the movie has been retconned, so if you're like one of those guys like, oh, I don't want to use anything that's retconned, I just want to use 100% Dragon Ball Super, then some things should still be noted. Piccolo versus Tagoma. Tagoma tanks Piccolo's full power. Z-Fighters even were completely shocked by Piccolo's power. Like, holy shit, Piccolo's actually really strong now, right? They were completely surprised by Piccolo's power. So Tagoma tanks Piccolo and literally tears his arm off. And then Gohan comes in and pushes Tagoma back with an energy attack. Then Gotenks comes in and headbutts Tagoma's alien parts, and Tagoma gets his body switched by Ginyu. And unlike the time when Ginyu stole Goku's body, Ginyu actually made the body he stole stronger this time. Ginyu then proceeds to eviscerate the Z Fighters until only Gohan is left standing and pushing all his might against Ginyu. So Gohan lasted longer than Piccolo did as well against Ginyu. It should be noted here that Gohan states, "I can't use my full power, probably because I haven't been training." This is very interesting, as it's actually implying he can't use his full mystic powers, meaning he's capable of using some of it. This would explain why Gohan is more powerful than even Piccolo in just his base form, and why it's so strenuous for him to go Super Saiyan. So we've established Gohan is stronger than at least weighted Piccolo at this time, at least by a tad bit. Now, what's really interesting is what this means. In my Piccolo video, for those of you who didn't watch it, I explained how in just the Buu Saga, Piccolo would be superior to even pre-Majin Dabura, and even a rival to Perfect Cell. But this is possibly 4 to 5 years later than even that, meaning Piccolo got exponentially more powerful, as noted by the Z Fighters, as it was stated by Toriyama himself that Piccolo all he does is train. Yet Gohan was still stronger than Piccolo in just his base form. The Piccolo shown here would be easily Perfect Cell level if he was already rivaling Perfect Cell just 4 to 5 years ago. Gohan in just his base form would be stronger than even Perfect Cell from the Cell games. Many people hate this Gohan. They try to downplay him however they fucking can to make him turn out to be like a Yamcha. But they do this by saying he's weaker than his Cell games counterpart. I don't know where they're getting this from. I'm assuming they're getting this from in the Buu Saga, where Vegeta's like, he's weaker than he was in the Cell games. But this is Dragon Ball Super. This is post-Mystic. Now, I could see you being, oh, he's weaker than he was when he was Mystic, right? But being weaker than the Cell games, there's no actual evidence for. And this is terribly redundant anyway, as Gohan and Piccolo were rivals in power in the movies, whereas base Gohan in the Cell games couldn't touch Piccolo at this point. Gohan would at least have to go Super Saiyan to touch Piccolo, but you're telling me base Gohan in the Cell games would dominate Piccolo? No. Stop it. Stop. Let alone a Piccolo after 10 years of training. So you think base Gohan from the Cell games, not only is he stronger than Piccolo in the Cell games, in his base form, the same Piccolo that was stronger than Super Saiyan Vegeta, but you think he's stronger in base than Piccolo after 10 years of training after that. No, stop. So that argument is terribly redundant. I don't mean to offend anybody, but it is really redundant, and you need to look at the argument over again and come back with some better evidence. Now with this, Gohan can still go Super Saiyan on top of being stronger than Piccolo. However, it's highly strenuous, as it's exerting a massive amount of power on his rusty body. So what do you do when you multiply someone possibly stronger than Perfect Cell by the Super Saiyan multiplier of 50? Imagine Perfect Cell going Super Saiyan, and that's how strong Gohan is. If not, Gohan even being stronger than that, because he'd be stronger than weighted Piccolo. So how strong do you think a Perfect Cell with a Super Saiyan multiplier would be? Where would he stack up in the Buu Saga, in your opinion? Let's not forget Gohan getting enraged to let Goku sense him from across the universe as well, which would make him even far stronger than that. Maybe he even went Super Saiyan 2 right there. Maybe he's even 100 times stronger than Perfect Cell. In my personal opinion, now it's very complicated to argue about this, but in my personal opinion, I still think Gohan as a Super Saiyan at this point would be stronger than Goku and Vegeta from the Buu Saga. Maybe not Super Saiyan 3 Goku's level, but he'd be stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Vegeta by far by this point. Especially with his super powerful base form still in play, because we know that Vegeta, if he was to take on Dabura or anybody, he would have to go Super Saiyan to take on Dabura, right? Because remember Dabura, when he actually, there's a scene where Dabura takes on Goku and Vegeta in their base forms and he just toys with them. Yet Gohan would actually be able to take on this Dabura in his base form, meaning Gohan is stronger than Buu Saga Goku and Vegeta by far, maybe even 50 times stronger than both of them. So moving on now we see Piccolo training with Gohan, because Gohan is like, fuck, I fucked up, I should have been training, that wouldn't have happened if I was still training. So Gohan and Piccolo have roughed each other up a bit, except now it seems that they're rivals, except this time Piccolo isn't wearing his weights like he was during the Frieza arc. Piccolo is probably a bit stronger, however it should be noted Gohan can still use Super Saiyan more effectively with his new training. So Piccolo, without his weights, was probably still a little bit stronger than Gohan, because I mean, all we saw from the training was literally Piccolo like face fucked Gohan with his stretchy arm or something, and that's all we saw. So Piccolo's probably a tad bit stronger than Gohan without his weights. However, the point still stands. Now, if you remember anything about Piccolo, Piccolo was capable of overpowering Final Form Frost with the special beam cannon, and as we discussed in my other Piccolo video, the special beam cannon is no more than a 2 to 3 times multiplier, as shown in the Saiyan Saga when Piccolo charged it up for 5 minutes straight, which meant Piccolo would still logically be on par with like third form Frost or Assault Frost, as the massive increase from third to final form would be in play here. In essence, we were able to conclude that Piccolo is about equal to suppressed base Goku, who took on Frost, so if Gohan joined the tournament, he too would be around the same level as Piccolo was. Not only would he be about the same level as Piccolo or suppressed Goku, then you could multiply his power by 50 for Super Saiyan, and you have a fighter that could absolutely dominate Final Form Frost. Just remember, if you thought Piccolo was a beast, right, Gohan could one-shot him anytime he wants as a Super Saiyan. So Gohan versus Frost would probably play out a little something like how suppressed Goku versus Frost played out, except Gohan probably wouldn't dominate him as hard as Goku did, but he'd still fuck Frost up pretty damn bad. So regardless of how badass he was when he was younger, Gohan is still a strong fighter. He's actually still pretty relevant. I mean, if he joined the Universal Tournaments for Xeno, he'd still actually do very well. I'd also like to bring up that Gohan said against Ginyu that he couldn't bring out his full power because he didn't train. But now that he's trained with Piccolo, is it possible for him to bring out his full mystic powers again? Hell, maybe that's how Piccolo got so strong in the tournament. Maybe that's how Piccolo was able to take on Frost, because Gohan was like mystic now. Regardless of what you think of how strong Gohan is, he's powerful, right? He's not as strong as Goku and Vegeta, but he's still very powerful. Now, what I would like to see is him maybe face off against Gotenks, and then maybe that would conclude if he has his mystic powers back. However, regardless of that, the real question is, how strong do you think Gohan is? Do you think he could take his mystic form from the Buu Saga as a Super Saiyan? Do you think he's fully regained, or at least regained a good portion of his mystic powers back? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed, and other than that, till next time.